Hello and welcome back to the channel. I am the Whiteseer and today we are looking at the farthest frontier housing. So this is it's a reasonably comprehensive guide, but it's made for beginners really. Just going to talk about housing and then show you kind of my efficient or most efficient kind of layout of a housing area and show you an example of that. But housing is found in the housing part of the menu here, and we basically have a couple of choices in here. We have the shelter. So here's the shelter. We're going to talk about the shelter first. It basically houses up to 4 people. It takes up a 3x3 space. Let's select that and I'll show you here. 3x3 space. Relatively easy to understand. Understand that. And obviously you can rotate with tab to give them the entrance and exit. It shows you where the door is. Now, there's a couple of stats and things in here. Obviously there's storage. At the moment we've got waste in this one. There's no food. This has just literally just been built and there's people already running in here to populate it, and my guys in my town haven't actually stocked it, but they will stock it, and they'll stock it with firewood, water and food to start with, sometimes luxury items depending on the stage of the building. If we have a little look up here, there's an upgrade cost to the building, and there's a few upgrade requirements. First thing is, do you have the right tier town centre? So to upgrade to the first tier from the shelter, which turns it into a homestead, you need to have a tier 2 town centre. A basic well needs to be nearby, so make sure your wells are close to town and close to your villagers so that they can actually collect their water. And this is a good thing to do anyway, just in case there is a fire. Because unless you're right next to a lake, people are going to have to carry water over to put that fire out. And if you are putting houses next door to other houses, obviously fires can spread, so you want to kill that fire as soon as possible. Desirability bonus, we are going to talk about that in a little bit more depth in a minute, but to upgrade to a homestead, which is required to get a tier 3 town hall, you're going to need 25 homesteads anyway. In order to do that, you're going to need to increase the desirability of that shelter to at least 30%. We'll talk about that in a minute. They require 2 types of food, so a meat and a veg, or a meat and a fruit, and they need herbs in the house as well, so you're going to need to get your foragers out there collecting herbs so that we can upgrade those to homesteads. So that's a little bit about the shelter and the requirements to upgrade. Obviously you need planks. Why would you bother upgrading? Well, firstly, you need homesteads in order to get to the next tier of town hall. And secondly, we get a larger happiness bonus from the desirability, and the house or the homestead gets more durability, which is good. So, how do we increase desirability? Well, there's a few things. Firstly, some buildings, amenities buildings, like the healer's house, can have an effect. So you see down here, the desirability goes up by 5% there. So having a healer's home close by will increase the desirability of that house by 5%. So obviously, when we talk about efficient layout in a minute, you kind of want to cover as many homesteads or houses or shelters as possible with your healer's house. The school also increases desirability by 10%. So you see there, that's flicking the value up by 10%. And again, if you put it in the middle of a bunch, you can affect more shelters with your radius of your school. I believe the rat catcher does not, but it does stop vermin, which decreases desirability, so it's worth considering that. You will have a visual representation of rats if you do have rats. I personally only have them if I've got a problem. We have a trading post already. I don't think that increases desirability. That actually might decrease desirability. Yeah, there's you see in the top right hand corner here of the little tooltip when it opens up, there's a little increase or decrease for desirability. So yeah, the Ratcatcher doesn't, the Healer's House does, the Trading Post doesn't, the pub does, that's tier 3 though, the Apothecary Shop does not, and the theatre does. So yeah, they're the things that change desirability. The other things, I think the basic well does, so adding those will increase desirability. Most of these buildings in resources will do nothing or be worse. There's, I think it's just literally just the well that will increase. Sand pits, I don't see them increasing. And again, most of the tier 3 stuff's dirty industry stuff, so there's no way that that's going to increase. So yeah, just the well will increase. Always worth having a well. Again, defences do nothing. Walls do nothing. Roads do nothing for desirability at all. But this tab down here is your friend when you want to increase desirability. So the park, for example, the plaza, they take up 2 by 2. They all do different things and they all have different values assigned to increasing the desirability. The shrine, for example, that's going to add 8% to the desirability. The large park, don't forget these cost gold, so you need to have made some gold. The large park actually covers a huge area. So if you were to put that in up here, for example, it does get all of the homes in over the other side. And actually I can probably put it just outside the town and it does still get them all. So yeah, it's worth bearing in mind that in order to upgrade these homesteads, you are going to need to increase the desirability, and there are different ways to do that. The best one is to have the amenities and services close, but only the ones with the uptick in the tooltip there, a well or decorations. So that's what's going to increase your desirability. An example of what I would say is a fairly efficient layout for housing design is the one I've been using on my Vanquisher playthrough at the moment, which I'm playing through on Twitch, by the way, so you can come and watch that if you want. I am uploading the videos in their entirety to YouTube, so keep a lookout for those. This is probably the most efficient layout I've found so far. The marketplace has a radius of where they're going to be collecting taxes and where they can actually feed. So I've built my town layout based on the radius of this marketplace, and I've had to sacrifice some of it. It's not 100% efficient. We could fill in these areas here, but I felt like the square kind of layout was more efficient than trying to squeeze in an extra couple of houses at the top. Of course, you could put an extra couple of houses here on the edges, and actually that would increase your the income from the marketplace. But from a desirability point of view, I have my healer's house down here. I love that coughing sound. The school right in here. I have a couple of small parks on either side in the same places here, and I have a shrine at the top here. And I actually have some spare space right here, and that is for the pub. And I will probably move some of the things around here in order to get a theatre close by. Now, I don't know the radius of the theatre because I haven't built one yet, but there's a possibility I could put it here, for example, and it would affect quite a large amount of homes. If not, I will probably move these around. I have 4 wells as well on the outside of the town here, of this, well, I say the town, the living space in the middle. And actually, if we have a quick look here, I'll just grab a small garden. You'll see that the desirability of every building in here is above 30%, which basically turned them all into homesteads, which is tier 2, so they look a little bit more sturdy, a little bit more happiness, and yeah, it's a little bit more cluttered in the garden aspect. But relatively efficient. Obviously, I'm on Vanquisher, so I've built a lot of towers on the outskirts of mine. These can be changed for other things. You could potentially put another house in here, for example, if you felt that you didn't need another well. However, it's not going to be collecting taxes from the marketplace. So in order to build this, I've put 2 blocks of 4 in the middle with the marketplace in the middle of those 4, and then another block of 8 on the sides. If you road that in here, it gives you space for a school and a spare space here. And then obviously we're having 2 rows of kind of 4 on the outside with a space in the middle for 2 extra desirability buildings or amenities buildings here. One thing to think about when it comes to housing is how far away your production buildings are and where people are going to be working. So farming, which is the next thing I'm going to talk about, I've placed just off of there. So I've got a lot of farmers. I think I've got, actually we've got more fields going outside, which don't follow this pathway. They follow kind of a more rudimentary version of this. I wanted them close to that so the farmers could actually go to work, and then all my production buildings are over here, and industry buildings up here, and a few wooden production buildings over here. So they're all kind of surrounding the living quarters. Don't forget that travel time in your settlement is going to be the death of your settlement if it's not done right. So you need to minimize that as much as possible. I am building another whole town area up here because we've hit 160 people and it's nearly capped. And I'd like to get this town to at least 500 people. Walls obviously help protect your guys as well. So yeah, feel free to wall in your town. What I would suggest though is leaving a space. I didn't do it for this one. Leaving a space between your outside road and your walls so that you can build efficient towers. Because they do kick back 1 square in if you're going to put a wall around the whole tower, I've found. The other building to look at, and I'm not entirely sure I've got any actually, is, I think I might have one down here, is the temporary shelter. And this serves as a place for people that are far away from their living arrangements already to basically stay if they need to come and get food or warm up in the winter. So I tend to put those near my work camps or my hunting lodges, or hunters camps rather, and my foragers huts, because they are miles away from home. So if they need food, they have to walk all the way back. They have to walk all the way back to work. So if I have one of these stocked close by, they don't have to do that, and it makes it more efficient as well. So bear that in mind. I hope that helps with the organisation of your town. I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see my layout here if you want to copy it. If you have any other tips regarding that, you can drop them in the comments, and I look forward to receiving them. And yeah, until the next time guys, take care of yourselves and have some fun out there.